The now majorly literate crossbreeding world humans are now looking askance at both the socialist and capitalist giants as these politically opposed powers multiply their to anywhere deliverable humanity annihilating bombs. Modern weapons are growing so sophisticated and so small that any future arms control agreement would be impossible to monitor and enforce, according to a Knight Ridder News Service dispatch. What we are going to see in the next generation of weapons is invisibility, which translates into insecurity, according to William Kincaid, a former naval intelligence officer. Even such an informed source as Admiral Stansfield Turner, former head of the Grand Naval Strategy Formulating U.S. Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, then Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Navy's Mediterranean Fleet, and then Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, says, "Any hope of limiting total destructiveness is slipping past us. In the affairs of the supranational corporate giants, real quality of product, consciously sustained, has given way to packaging allure and advertising proclaimed quality as commensurate only with the best interests of corporate money-making. As already mentioned, heads of great corporations are elected by the stockholders' directors, who in turn are chosen by those controlling the majority of voting shares, who make their choices only on the basis of greatest earnings performance. Operating only as abstract global magnitude legal entities, all the unknown owned and controlled supranational corporations have no human community consideration other than as potential customers, consumers, or fighting force conscriptees." At the termination of his presidency, Eisenhower expressed his shocked dismay over the exclusively self-concerned military-industrial complex that he had found to be growing inexorably as a malignant economic organism. There is no question of Eisenhower's innocence of such phenomena as he assumed his great responsibility. In the same way, I am confident that Reagan is utterly unaware of the existence, magnitude, and nature of the supranational colossus. He knows he is dealing with rich and business-wise proven individuals whose organizational management effectiveness is of a high order, because the colossus is operating an invisible technology and society is so specialized that each individual is acquainted with only a few of the billions of other specialized invisibilities, and because of the invisibility of who the supranational shareholders may really be and where they are, I am confident that Reagan truly thinks that he is operating strictly within the historic limits of a USA national government and not as a stooge of an invisible grunch of literally soulless supranational giants. I don't think David Rockefeller or any of the justices of the U.S. Supreme Court, or Volcker, head of the Federal Reserve Bank, or Margaret Thatcher, or the heads of any of the world's governments think of their problems in the realistic terms of their being governed entirely by the inanimate, socially unconcerned, supranational colossi as the possibly lethally non-human growth could prove to be. However, Grunch could also prove to be an army of benign giants, because it will depend more and more on its complex world-around computerization integration, and the data entered into that integrated network will continually evidence that the present technology could make the world work for everyone and at a much more profitable level than realized from weapons production. Nor do I think these present power structure spokespeople see the supranational corporations as the unwittingly benevolent agent of evolution about to close the historical era of separate nation-states and to institute in its stead the era of omni-economically successful, omni-integrated planetary society. For the past 30 years, the U.S. government's grand defense strategy has been a puppet of the supranational corporate giants, with the strings invisibly manipulated. This policy has concentrated on accumulating greater numbers of atomic bombs than those of the USSR, while all the while the USSR was only ostensibly endeavoring to keep pace with the USA bomb production. In reality, the USSR was dominantly preoccupied with building an all-oceans, primarily underwater navy from scratch and expanding numerically its conventional weapons army divisions. At the time Eisenhower became President of the United States, the military experts of both the USA and USSR had independently concluded that a missile-delivered atomic war would be the first war in history in which both sides would be utterly devastated. In gun-munitioned warfare, whoever shot first and accurately won. The other man's shot never got away. In 14,000 miles per hour delivery rocketry warfare, the 670 million miles per hour operating radar vision of both sides gives each side enough advance notice after its respective enemy has fired to let loose all of its arsenal before the enemy's missiles arrive. For the first time in warfare history, both sides utterly lose. For those hotheads in the capitalist world who as yet contemplate preemptive firing of the USA arsenal of atomic warheads, it is importantly relevant that the Russians have accurate, geographically triangulated positioning of their USA targets, while the USA does not have accurate geodetic triangulation of the location of most of the USSR targets.